Hello guys and welcome to Matthew Vinyl, and this is a video showing off my Hollies vinyl collection. Now this is going to be a very long video, so I'm not going to stop and show every single record because we'll be here for a long time. So I'm going to go through it as fast as I can, but if I do show an item that is pretty interesting, I will stop and show that one. And we're going to start off with the 45s, so we're going to go through all my Hollies EPs now. So we've got their debut EP called The Hollies, and it's got 4 great songs on them, and this is the UK issue. And then the next one is Here I Go Again. Now another great selection of tracks here. It's got the A and B from Here I Go Again, and then 2 other tracks. And then we've got the In the Hollies Style EP. Of course, these are 4 tracks from the LP In the Hollies Style. I do not have the sleeve, unfortunately, and the centre hole is removed, but I don't mind. It still plays very well. And then I'm missing a few from the UK there, so I've still got a few more to get, but I do have this one from the UK. This is the I Can't Let Go EP with 4 absolutely fantastic songs. It is the Bus Stop EP from Australia, and it uses the In the Hollies Style cover, but instead of having an orange there, it's red. These are the 4 tracks on the back. I say it's the A and Bs from both sides. And it is a pretty solid EP. If you want to see what the Australian Parlophone label looks like, I will show you now. So there it is there, that is the Australian Parlophone. Then next up we've got another Australian EP, and it is the Carry Ann EP. And it's got, again, 4 amazing tracks. I'll be saying that a lot because the Hollies are one of my favourite bands of all time. So all their students are fantastic. And then we have got an EP from Southeast Asia. So this was released in Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and it's got those 4 tracks on the back. And their cover of Blown in the Wind from the Bob Dylan song, of course, it is actually really good. Of course, Graham Nash didn't agree with it, and that's why he left the group. Well, one of the reasons why he left the group. But there it is there, and I'll show you the label. That is the Parlophone label, of course. And then a similar EP, it's not the exact same as the last one, but it's got pretty similar songs. This is from Brazil. And it's got like a little cover over it. I think they called it like a sandwich cover in South America. And that's the back. It just advertises other releases on the EMI Odeon label. But I will show you the record label here because it's just a bit interesting. There it is there. Right, that is all of the EPs done. I'm now going to show you all of my singles. And I've got their first one here, their debut single, Ain't That Just Like Me, back like Hey, What's Wrong With Me. And this B-side is actually really good. It's a very good original Nash Clark song. I do recommend it if you haven't heard it already. Now next up we have Searchin'. I only knew this song originally from the Beatles because the Beatles did do this song. And I never heard the Coasters version at that time. But eventually I heard the Hollies version. And this is what got me into them. I only bought this because I knew the Beatles version. And then I bought their first few albums after that. And then about a year later was when I fully went into them. So it's been at least since 2022 when I've been a huge Hollies fan. And I have seen them twice at concert as well. So very nice to have been able to see that. Anyways, back to the single. The B-side is absolutely amazing. I love this B-side when I first heard it. Again, it's another great Nash Clark song. And then of course we got the first single that made them big in Britain, and it is Stay. Back with Now's the Time, of course, from the film that they were in, and 2 amazing tracks. And next up we have one of the most well-known songs from 1964. It is Just One Look, and it's backed by Keep Off That Friend of Mine, and it was written by the drummer Bobby Elliott and of course Tony Hicks. And it is a great B-side. You couldn't hear me say this a lot, but the Hollies had amazing B-sides. If you haven't heard many of them, I do recommend streaming them or buying the original singles. They're just absolutely fantastic. This is from Australia, and this is an Australian only release. It is Just One Look, and it's backed with Stay. Now this is not rare, but it's very uncommon. You don't really see it much, and I'm very happy to find it. Unfortunately for mine, it isn't in the greatest of conditions. I don't know if the camera will pick it up much, but I mean it still plays all the way through fine. But it's not in the best of conditions, but I'm still happy to have, an uncommon Hollies record. And of course it is in the original Australian Parlophone sleeve. Now staying with Australia and another uncommon Hollies Australian single, it is Lucille from the Stay album, their debut LP, and it's backed by Little Lover, which is one of my favourite Holly songs. It is a very good Nash Clark song, good punchy rock and roll. And again, just like the last one, it isn't in the greatest condition. I mean, this one's worse than the last one. Again, the camera's not really picking up too well, but it is full of scratches. But it still does play through all the way through fine. So to me, if it plays, I'm happy. And especially like this is not really that, you know, common, I'm still happy to own it. Another release from 1964, and it is Here I Go Again. A great, punchy cover, and of course one of their well-known songs from the 1960s. And it is backed by Baby That's All. Tony Hicks' guitar solo on this is, it's just amazing. It's a very good song. Now staying with that single, I have got the New Zealand release. As you see, it's very different looking to the British one, of course. And I do have the original New Zealand parlophone sleeve, and it is backed with Baby That's All. Of course it is. It is used to the exact same mix as the British one, so it sounds exactly the same. But to me, I don't mind. I like collecting these different pressings. So there you go. Next up, we have their first song that was big that they wrote themselves under the pseudonym of L. Ransford. We're Through, of course, a very, very popular song. And it's back with Coming Back, a good little rock and roll song. So I do recommend this. Very good single. And then we are now in 1965 with their cover of Yes I Will, which the Monkees also did as well under a different name. Title. And it's backed by Nobody. Now this isn't one of their best B-sides. It's still a good song, but it's definitely not as strong as the other B-sides. But all in all, it's a good single. Now the next single, George Harrison and John Lennon didn't like this, but it is of course the Beatles cover, If I Needed Someone, backed with I've Got a Way on My Own. I'll start with the B-side first. This is a great B-side. It was also on the Would You Believe LP. So great song there. Now let's go back to If I Needed Someone. If you're unfamiliar, George Harrison wrote this song for the Beatles on the Rubber Soul LP, and then the Hollies covered it, and George Harrison hated it. He called the Hollies soulless session men who must have just seen each other one day and did a song. That wasn't the exact quote, but it was along those lines. And I heard that John Lennon didn't like it much either, but to me, it sounds pretty similar to the Beatles version, and I don't mind. I mean, yes, the Beatles version is the best one you're ever going to hear, but the Hollies did a very good version of this song, and if you haven't heard it, definitely listen to it, you know, to compare, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Now we have my favourite Hollies song. It is their first UK #1, I'm Alive from 1965, and it's backed with You Know Who You Did, which is a very good B-side. But of course, I'm Alive, their first UK #1 single, as I mentioned. It's just a very good song. Now, again, staying with this single, I have got the Australian release. Now, this is not different like the last two were from Australia. This is just the actual UK single released in Australia, and of course, it is back with No You Did. Fortunately, the sleeve I've got isn't the best. This is a early UK parlophone sleeve. I'm trying to find an Australian one for it, but you know, one day hopefully. And again, staying with this single, I've got the US version on Imperial, and the same B-side, You Know Who You Did. Yeah, this is probably the worst sounding out of all of them, but it still sounds fine, you know what I mean? Of course, just the American mixes sometimes can sound a bit less good than the UK ones do. Now finally, actually moving on to the next single, it is Look Through Any Window. This is the British pressing, and of course the B-side is So Lonely from the Hollies LP, their self-titled album, and So Lonely is such an amazing song. If you haven't heard it, listen to it, it's amazing. Now you're going to see a common theme here again. Staying with this single, I have got another copy. Now, I fixed my thing, that looks like the British one. It's from a country that does not exist anymore. It is from Southern Rhodesia, from Africa of course, which is now modern day Zimbabwe. And the B-side again is So Lonely, and it uses the exact same British mixes. I'll just show you the vinyl. It's very tough vinyl. It's got a lot of weight to it. You know, it's quite heavy compared to most vinyl records. Now, sometimes you could confuse these for South African pressings, but the main way to tell what is South African and what is Rhodesian is in Rhodesia they had the triangle, but in South Africa they just had the normal prong centre. So that is the main way to tell the difference, because other than that, their labels are exactly the same. And again, common theme, staying with this single, I have got the US one. Unfortunately, my sleeve is a little bit ripped there, but I'm still happy to have the original Liberty sleeve. And of course, the B-side is So Lonely. So yeah, that's my US copy. Now, the next 45 is one of their smash hits, by number 2 in the charts in Britain. It is I Can't Let Go and Running Through the Night. Again, this one, it isn't the strongest of B-sides. It's basically the Hollies doing a country song. That's pretty much the genre of the B-side. But of course, I Can't Let Go is absolutely, it's just a mighty single. It's amazing. And if you guessed it, we are staying with this single. Now, I do have a South African copy, as you see right there, with Running Through the Night. So that's from South Africa. And if you think it's the same one again, you're correct. This is the US promo. Now, this has a different B-side. It is I've Got Away With My Own. It's 2 great songs. And I said it's the US promo. If you think we're done with I Can't Let Go, I can tell you that you are wrong. Have another US copy, but this is just the standard release. Got Away With My Own. This is the B-side. So that is my other US copy. Now, we are finally moving on. Staying with America though. This is Bus Stop, of course, one of their greatest songs, and one of their first songs to properly chart in the US, but it is backed with Don't Run and Hide. Now, the next single is Bus Stop again. This is another US copy, but it's on a golden series that Imperial did. I think in the late 60s, I think they started doing this, and it is backed with Just One Look. The next one is again one of the most popular 60s songs, Stop, Stop, Stop. And this is a British copy, Parlophone of course. And it is backed with It's You and It's You. What a song. It's a nice psychedelic pop song with a hint of rock, but not too much. And it's just an amazing song. And again, we are staying with this single. Now this one's quite rare. This is an Indian copy. Again, same B-side, and again the UK mix. And my copy, it's just in phenomenal condition. Yeah, there you go. As I say, I do recommend It's You. It is on the For Certain Because LP. And so is Stop, 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 Stop. Now this one is again another uncommon one. More popular in America compared to Britain. But this is the Hollies and Peter Sellers, After the Fox from the film. And the B-side is the same song, but it's just an instrumental version. It is actually quite a good song, of course it is like a comedy record, but it is good. And then next one, we've got a Canadian copy of Pay You Back With Interest, backed with Clown. Again, Clown, it's a very good song. I suppose it can be quite relaxing. It's like relaxing psychedelia, pretty much, with some pop hints in it as well. And of course, Pay Back With Interest, great song. Both on the same LP. And staying with that record, we have got the New Zealand issue. Now this is a bit different. Both of these sides are completely different types of songs. You got Pay You Back With Interest, like a psychedelic pop song. And it's backed with What You Gonna Do About It from the debut LP Stay. So it's backed with a rock and roll song pretty much, like a rock pop thing. And of course, very different songs but in New Zealand, that's the way they released this. And I'm pretty sure this was the way it was released in America as well. Now my next one is also from New Zealand. It is On a Carousel. This was my favourite Hollies song a few years ago. I mean, it is still one of my favourites, but at the time it was my favourite song. And it's back with All the World Is Love, another amazing song. And it's staying with that song, I have got the US promo. Unfortunately, it does have some writing there, like some scribbles and stuff, but it's fine. It's got the same B-side, All the World Is Love. But there you go, that is the US promo. And again, staying with this song, it's from the same series as before, that Imperial reissue series, and it is backed with Pay You Back with Interest. Now, moving on, it's the incorrect sleeve for the time, and it is a bit ripped, but it is Carry On. This is the UK issue, and it is backed with Signs That Will Never Change. It's just a very nice, relaxing song. It reminds you of like winter time, and you know, like when the seasons change. 'Cause that is the topic of the song, when like the seasons change and stuff. But yeah, two great songs there. And now we are going back to America. We have got Just One Look. Of course, Just One Look was issued in 1964 in America, but it completely flopped. Then they reissued it again in 1967, and it's back with Running Through the Night. So it's two very different songs, I suppose you could say, released at a completely different time as well. But yeah, that is my US copy. Now next up we have one of my favourite songs again, King Midas in Reverse. Didn't do too well on the UK charts compared to the other songs, because you know most of the songs were in top 15, top 10, but this one didn't do as well. It's still somewhat popular, and it is back with Everything is Sunshine, another fantastic, relaxing B-side. They have so many good B-sides, as I know that I've said it many times now, but it to me, it's a fact. Obviously, you know, it's my opinion, of course, but great. Now we are going to one of my favourite songs that the Hollies did in their psychedelic period. It is Dear Eloise. This is a New Zealand issue, and it's backed with When Your Lights Turned On. Of course, that is from the Evolution LP, and Dear Eloise is from the Butterfly LP. So two similar songs from the same time period, and so that is the New Zealand sleeve, Now next up, unfortunately the sleeve has been beat up, but it is still the correct one. This is a Lebanese copy of Jennifer Eggles. It used to be British mix, and it is backed with Open Up Your Eyes, a great song. I say unfortunately the sleeve isn't in the best condition, but at least I do have the original Lebanese sleeve. And staying with Jennifer Eggles, I've got the US promo on Epic. Again, has some writing on it, but I don't mind, you know, it's a promo copy, it's cool to have. And the B-side is different. It's not Open Up Your Eyes, it's Try It from the Butterfly LP. Now, this is a different mix to the LP version. It sounds like the sound effects are a bit different, but it's a fantastic song. Again, Butterfly is such an amazing LP, and Try is one of those songs that, yes, it's very weird in a psychedelic way, but it's a very enjoyable song. And then we have again, this song got me more into them when I heard this, and it is Listen to Me, and it is backed with one of my favourite Holly songs, Do the Best You Can. This is one of the last songs that Graham Nash was on, and both of them are fantastic. If you haven't heard them, give them a listen. Now, we've got a few more copies of Listen to Me here, but they're all international pressings with completely different B-sides. Now, this is Listen to Me from Australia. And as you know, as you may know, in Australia, they pretty much released what was done in Britain. But sometimes, I'd say, they would do, you know, some things different, as we saw earlier with my two other Australian singles. But this is backed with Step Inside from Butterfly, which, again, as I mentioned before, Butterfly is a 10 out of 10 album, and the songs in it is fantastic. Especially Step Inside is another one of those great songs. The B-side of Listen to Me is, of course, Do the Best You Can. Now, this is very interesting. This is the Australian promo And it's backed with Elevated Observations, which, again, it's another great song from Butterfly. The Australians, take your hats off for them. They made some fantastic singles here. So this is my Australian promo in the Australian sleeve, so I'm very happy to have this. Obviously this, you know, the promo copy is less common. Now, Do the Best You Can from Germany, backed with Like Everything Before, of course. Like Everything Before, it was issued in UK, I think it was in the 80s on a Rarities album, but it was released in Germany and a few other European countries. And I do like the back of this sleeve, it actually advertised the Butterfly album. And this is on the German Hansa label. That's it there. But yeah, very happy to have this because both songs, again, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Next up, we have Sorry Suzanne. Of course, the first single after Graham left the group, and it's backed with Not That Way At All, which is a fantastic B-side. Now, again, staying with that single, I have a South African copy. Unfortunately, it is a bit ripped there. Same B-side, of course, and it sounds pretty much the same as the British one, but as I mentioned, I like collecting international releases of my favourite artists. Now, next up, we have possibly, arguably, the best song of all time, the most popular song of all time. It is He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. And this is a US promo, and both sides are the same. Of course, it is shortened down for the radio to 3 minutes 37 on this single release. And now we have got the UK 80s. Of course, this was #1 in the 80s. I think it was number 3 in 1969. This is from 1988. Yeah, and this, of course, went to #1. And it's backed with them sound at that time. It's backed with a 80s song called Carrie, which is a good B-side. It's a good song, actually. Then next up, we have got another Australian release in the Australian sleeve. It is the Tony Hicks Too Young to Be Married song, and it is a very good song. It's from that time of the Hollies after Graham Nash had left the course at the start of the 70s. Like this sort of sound that the Hollies had. It's like a nice, relaxing winter sound, I would say. Like, it's most enjoyable listening in like the autumn winter time to me. But that's just my experience, of course. It might be different for you. And it is backed with Man Without a Heart. Just an amazing song. It's fantastic. We are getting into the swing of the 1970s. This is I Can't Tell the Bottom from the Top. And it is backed with Mad Professor Blythe. It's a very good song. This B-side, however, isn't my favourite, but good, strong A-side. Next up, we have a US promo of Gasoline Alley Bread. I love this song. It's got a nice sound to it. Very well performed, and it's backed with Dandelion Wine. Now, this B-side isn't one that I've played much. I've played before, but it's not one that I've revisited much. So I don't really have a strong opinion on this B-side much. Now, I think I got 3 copies of this one. This is the first one. Again, not the greatest sleeve, but I'll get it replaced soon, hopefully. It is Hey Willie, and this is the UK issue. And it's backed with Row the Boat Together. Again, another B-side that I haven't really played much. I have heard them before. Like, I've heard all these songs before, but never really paid this one much attention. As I mentioned, we are staying with this single. And this is the New Zealand issue. Now, as you can see, if you saw on the UK one, the Willie is spelt a bit different on the New Zealand issue. And same B-side. Now, this next one's pretty cool. This is Hey Willie from Venezuela. I do like my South American issues, but I don't have too many, but I like having them when I can, and it's backed with Row the Boat Together, of course. But there you go. Venezuela. Now, this one is definitely more popular than He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. It is Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. Of course, this was really only a single in the US, but this is the UK issue, which came out, I think this came out 2 years later, or around that time, but it definitely was released in America before it was in Britain. And I'm not sure you can see it too well, but it's backed with Cable Car. Cable Car is a fantastic song. If you haven't heard it, definitely give it a play. And now we've got the Australian issue of Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, and it's backed with Cable Car. And now we are going back to South America with Long Woman in a Black Dress from Peru. Now this does have the song title in Spanish and English. And the B-side, of course, is Still Cable Car. There you go. Peru copy. And this one, actually, to me anyways, this is my best out of the copy. It sounds way better than my Australian and my British one. But that's just from my experience. So with the next single, I didn't actually know this song until I saw them play it live when I first saw them in concert in 2022 in Newcastle. And it is The Baby on Polydor, backed with Oh Granny. And staying with this issue, I've got a very cool one here. Now this isn't on Polydor, this is on Parlophone, and it is from Singapore, and I think it was also released in Hong Kong and Malaysia. And it's got this cool EMI sleeve here, and you can see it's got John Lennon's Imagine there. There you go, that is the Baby, and it is in like mint condition. Like I don't think it was hardly ever played at all. And again, this is another one that I didn't know until I saw them the first time in concert. And this is Magic Woman Touch. This is a US promo. And it's one side in stereo and the other side is in mono. This is the DJ promo from America. Now, by the way, I did mention I saw them in concert. I have saw them twice. I saw them this time last year in Gateshead. So I've seen them twice. Hope to see them again soon one day. But next up, we got one of their biggest songs again. The Air That I Breathe. This is a British copy with No More Riders. Again, a B-side I haven't paid too much attention to, but I have heard it before. So not much of an opinion there. And staying with that single, we have got the German copy. Now this was my first copy of this single. And it looks pretty similar like to the British one, but it is a bit different on the label. And then we've got one of my favourite ones. Of course, this is them doing Bruce Springsteen. And it's Sandy, 4th of July. Now, they did do this in concert when I saw them. And it was nice to hear. And it's Back with Another Night. Another good song. And this is, of course, the New Zealand issue. I saw that in New Zealand and Australia. The Hollies didn't change the Polydor for quite a while. They did eventually in Australia. But in New Zealand, pretty much, I think in the whole of the 70s, all their Polydor stuff was put on Parlophone. So it's pretty interesting to collect the New Zealand ones for that. And then with Sandy, we have got the US promo. And again, just like Magic Woman Touch, the A side, well, both the A side of course, but this side is in stereo and the other side is in mono. My copy, it's in pretty much perfect condition. It's absolutely fantastic. And then we have got, now these aren't my favourite Holly songs. This is probably one of them that I wouldn't go out of my way to play them. Obviously I do like pretty much everything that they ever did, but this stuff isn't too much of my thing, but it's still good. But there you go, and that's the A side, and there is the B side. Now we have got this from the 70s. This is to promote the LP. Of course, if you're a Hollies fan, you'll know what this LP is. It's basically full of their greatest hits. And that is the track list on the back. This is released by EMI. And you could buy this on a regular copy. But mine is the promo, which is very cool to have. I like collecting promos. So it's nice to have that in my collection. And then next up, we've got Soldier's Song. And it's backed with Dragging My Heels. Again, don't listen to this one too much, but it's still a decent song. Both sides anyways. Now we have got, taken from the Buddy Holly LP from 1980. This is a Dutch copy, I believe. I think it is Dutch, yes. It is on the Polydor label. To me, the Buddy Holly LP is very good. They do a very nice, at the time, modern version of Buddy Holly songs. Same on both sides, but there you go. Now we do have the Holidays medley from 1981, backed with Holly Pops. Now the last Hollies 45 RPM single I have on 7-inch by the Hollies is their 80s reunion with Graham Nash, Stop in the Name of Love. Unfortunately, the back cover is ripped a bit, and this is a UK issue. And it's a very good cover. The B-side of Musical Pictures, which again isn't one of my favourite Holly songs, but the A-side is great. I also own this Hollies box set from Sundays from 2011, I think it's from. And it is a bunch of singles in a box set. That is the track list in there. Has some rare stuff, some popular songs, but it's basically their, their lost recordings and some beat songs in it as well. It comes with a nice little booklet. It's just a very small booklet, but has a bunch of information in it. And on the back it tells you when it was originally released in the past. And they come in nice American style sleeves, and they are released on American style 60s Imperial labels, as you can see, like that. Some of them are actually promo labels, but other ones are just a standard release. It does come with a reissue of their Italian single from the film that the songs was featured in, sorry. And yeah, see, these are all of them here. So if you haven't got it, I would recommend. I bought mine off Amazon, but you could probably find it on Discogs if you can't on Amazon. Right, now guys, we are going to be going on to the LP. This is the final part of the video. Again, I'm going to be going through it quite quick, but if it is something interesting, I will stop and talk about it. Now, starting with their debut LP on mono, this is a British issue of Stay With The Hollies. First, I didn't like this LP, but I've listened to it since for maybe 5 times, and it is definitely one of my favourite Hollies albums now. Just when I first got into this, it wasn't my thing, but later on I did. Next up, we have got In The Holly Style. This is another British mono pressing. It didn't chart too well in Britain, so it isn't too common to find. Of course, it is in the Parlophone label, of course. And there you go. Next up, we have one of my favourite Hollies LPs. It is the self-titled Hollies from 1965. Fortunately, my copy is a bit scratched, so the first 2 songs I think don't play, but I think one of them plays, but half of it is full of skips. But to beat that, I do have a Dutch 70s reissue called Hollies Days. If you're a Beatles fan, you might recognise this from a compilation that the Beatles released in Holland, which I do have, by the way. And it was their same track listing. Now we have one of my favourite Hollies compilations. This is just called The Hollies, and it is from Sweden. The Swedish did this. They did it with the Animals and Herman's Hermits. I've got the Animals one, but not the Herman's Hermits one yet. But it's just got 2 sides of phenomenal Hollies hits, B-sides, album tracks. It's just a fantastic album. If you don't have it, definitely get it. It is a bit uncommon, so it's not going to be easy to find, but it's just absolutely fantastic. Now, next up, we have my favourite Hollies LP, Would You Believe? Of course, from 1966. And this is a UK issue, and it is an absolute fantastic album. If you haven't heard it, definitely give it a listen. It's a mixture of pop and folk music. They do actually do a cover of Simon and Garfunkel, I Am a Rock, and they do a Buddy Holly cover of Take Your Time. So it's got a mixture of covers and originals. Now I have another one. This is from New Zealand. Now this is pretty much the exact same as the British one. However, you might be able to see it has bus stop, and you can see that the New Zealanders edited it in because the text font is a bit different to the rest of it. And I'll show you the label actually on it, because the New Zealand labels to me are quite interesting. It is on a blue Parlophone label. I got this for quite cheap. It is full of scratches, but it does still play all the way through. I got it on eBay for 99 pence. So I was very lucky to get this for quite cheap, because it is not common at all. And if you're a Beatles fan, you might know that some New Zealand LPs can go for a lot of money, but maybe that is just because it's the Beatles, of course, but it's still uncommon. Now we have the same LP, but this is a Music for Pleasure 70s reissue. I would not play this out of the other copy I have, but it's just nice to have it in the collection. Now we have a rare album here. This is from Canada. The Canadians did similar things to the British ones, but they had mostly different LPs, and this has a mixture of tracks from the Would You Believe LP and also some B-side. It does have a Running Through the Night, of course, and it also has their version of A Taste of Honey, which is actually, in my opinion, quite a good cover. And it does have there, it says, "She'll never trust in nobody no more." Now, I think, I've never heard that whole song before. It's actually the same song as Oriental Sadness, but they just chose a different title. But it is the exact same song. It's not different at all. It's the exact same song, just the title is different. And it is, of course, on the Canadian Capitol label. Now, next up, you have my only US copy. Just like the Beatles, the Hollies were chopped up with their songs and put differently in the US. But it's a very good album, and my copy is in superb condition. I'll just show you it just so you can see. It's absolutely clean as anything. But I see, unfortunately, I do not own any other of the US releases. This is an original from the 60s. I am trying to get the Sundays reissues, but you know, hopefully one day. And next up, we have the UK issue of For Certain Because. Of course, it is just like Beatles for Sale. It's got this gatefold cover, and the disc is in there. But a fantastic album. Of course, it has Stop 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 and It's You, as I mentioned before. It has Clown, and it has What's Wrong with the Way I Live, Pay It Back with Interest, Special Look in Your Eyes. Very good album. Next up, we have Evolution. Came out around the time of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and to me, it's better. It's a hot take, I know some Beatles fans might get annoyed with that, but I prefer this album to Pepper's. It's just so good. My favourite song is definitely Have You Ever Loved Somebody. That song is just great. You've also got Water in the Brain, which is fantastic. Yeah, you've got Leave Me, which is fantastic. So, absolutely amazing. Next up, we have Butterfly. Of course, as I mentioned before with this, when I was going through my 45s, this album is just absolutely fantastic. Now, my copy is very strange, I suppose you could say. The back cover, this is not done by me, it's done by the first owner, I'm assuming. It's ripped to bits, and unfortunately that, yes, it's not nice to look at. But you also got to remember, this is quite a rare album. It is a bit expensive, but it makes up for it, because the disc is in absolutely perfect condition. You know, I think, okay, that's good then, because that looks amazing. But the problems still continue. The side one label, yeah, it's not great at all. But the only positive I do have to say is that vinyl is in perfect condition. Like, it sounds absolutely fantastic. So yes, I have some rips on the label. I have a pretty much destroyed back photo on the back cover, but I wouldn't swap it out for anything, because to me, it's fantastic. It's in absolutely amazing shape. Next up, we have Hollies Greatest. This is a stereo issue, and it's pretty much all their greatest hits, as the title suggests. This is the last album that Graham Nash was on before he left the group. Now, next up, we have another Hollies Greatest. This is from Germany, and it has a different track listing. It opens with Very Last Day, which is such a good song. And when I saw them last September 2023, they actually played Very Last Day, and I did not expect it at all. But it's a very good song. And I say the rest of the LP is fantastic as well. Next up, we have Hollies Sing Dylan from Britain. This is a British copy. And of course, first album after Graham left. And yes, he did not like the way the Hollies were doing Bob Dylan songs. And again, I might have a hot take here, but I am not a fan of Bob Dylan. I like a few of his songs, but if you were to play me a Bob Dylan song, 9 times out of 10, I prefer a cover. Like with the Mighty Quinn, for example, I prefer the Manfred Mann version to the Bob Dylan one. And same before these songs, I just love the way the Hollies perform these songs. To me, it's fantastic. Next up, we have my least favourite Hollies album that I own, and it is Hollies Sing Hollies. I don't know what it is about this album. I like the artwork. I like the way it is packaged. Like this is the Gatefold here, for example. To me, this looks so nice. But the songs, to me, they've never done anything for me. There was a few though. Why Didn't You Believe, the first song? I do love that song. Don't Give Up Easily is quite good as well. But to me, the rest of them don't do anything for me. But as I say, the first two, I would say are top songs. But the rest of them, to me, just, as I say, don't click with me. Now we're in the 1970s now. We have Confessions of the Mind. Now, again, to me, this album is quite enjoyable in the winter months and the autumn months. I don't know why, just for me, just like the way it's mixed and the way it sounds. Of course, it is on at the time, the new Parlophone label. Some copies did come with like a card, I don't know if it was like a poster or just like a little card of the Hollies, but mine didn't come with that, unfortunately. My favourite song on here, it's not just my favourite song on the album, it's one of my favourite songs ever that the Hollies did. Isn't It Nice? To me, Isn't It Nice is such an amazing song. Next up, we have Hollies Greatest Volume 2. This is a British copy. Has a bit of mixture. Has some of the early 60s and some of the late 60s tracks. And also on this release with Searching, it's a different take. Next up, we have another Hollies compilation. And this is from, I think, 1972, 74, around that time. I can't remember the exact date. Does have a gatefold with a bunch of information there with some nice photos. So yeah, it pretty much has the hits and their unknown singles, and you know, it's a good mix of like unknown and popular songs. Next up, we have got a Japanese compilation. In the 70s, the Japanese made compilations of Swingin' Blue Jeans, Peter and Gordon, Jerry and the Pacemakers, you know, just to name a few, but they pretty much released all the main British invasion artists on this EMI label. With my Japanese copies, I do keep them like that, but I will show you the back cover. It's all in Japanese, of course. It's got a picture of the group there, and it does come with inserts, which I won't take all them out. Next up, we have their second self-titled album, Hollies. Of course, this includes The Air That I Breathe. Now, it isn't one of my favourites. For me, I enjoy the Hollies more in the 60s compared to the 70s and 80s. Just see the label there on Polydor. But yeah, for me, I'm not a huge fan of that time period, but you know, they're still a great group, of course. Next up, now I mentioned B-sides a lot. This is a 70s compilation of the Hollies 60s B-side. Not every single one, I don't think it is every single one. It might be actually, but it's not in chronological order by release. It is just put in a random order, put a bit closer there for you. But yeah, it's pretty much every single B-side that they did in the 60s. So highly recommend this if you don't want to buy all the individual singles. Instead, you can just get it on an LP. Next up, we have Hollies Live Hits. Of course, from the 70s. It has a mixture of their 60s songs and their 70s songs. Again, obviously, you know, it is a live album, so I don't play it all the time, but it's nice to listen once in a while. Now, I've also got a German copy of this. However, they actually take off some of the songs. But it is from the same album, but it's shortened down. And next up, we have the Hollies 20 Golden Greats. It has, as it says, 20 Golden Greats. It's pretty much all the songs from the 60s, but it does have Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, I Can't Tell the Bottom from the Top, and Gasoline Alley Bread. But apart from that, it's their 60s hits. And then, as I told before, this is the Buddy Holly LP. Mine is a British copy. Very easy to find. That's the track list in there. I absolutely love it. To me, it's great. It's a nice, relaxing listen. And we've got the Reunion album, of course. And again, not my favourite of the Hollies. It does have a new version of Just One Look, but it isn't as good as the original 64 version. And of course it does have Stop in the Name of Love, which to me, that is the main highlight. Next up, got these 80s Hollies EMI compilation with pretty much their 60s hits, but it does have some, at the time, unreleased songs. It does have them doing Poison Ivy and Zippity Doodah, a little bitty pretty one. So it is nice to hear those songs from the 60s period. And next up we have the C for Miles issue. Now it does have Wings, which is one of my favourite Holly songs, of course. That was on that EMI charity record, and it came out in 1969, which featured the Beatles on it as well. But this, I'm not sure if you can read that at all, but it pretty much has the early 60s stuff on it, obviously apart from Wings. But it's very good, I do recommend this. Now we've got some 12-inch singles here. We've got This Is It, and to me, This Is It is, even though it's not my favourite period, but This Is It is a fantastic song. I've always loved it. To me, it's one of my favourite Holly songs, and in my opinion, one of their best. And the B-side, again, both of those songs aren't really my thing, but for me, the main highlight is This Is It, and it is on the Columbia label. Which is weird to see for the Hollies, because, you know, when you see the Hollies, but you know, you're used to seeing them on Parlophone. But in the 80s, for a little bit of time, they were on Columbia. And the next one, we've got Reunion of the Heart. Again, not one of my favourite Holly songs, but the other side has Too Many Hearts Get Broken, and also the Holidays medley. And again, it is on that Columbia label. I do like collecting 12-inch singles from the 80s. To me, that is quite interesting. And then we have the 12-inch to He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, back with Curry and Air That I Breathe, which they forgot the on it, and they also credit it to 1967, even though it should be saying 1974. But that's it there. And this is on, I think it's just on the EMI label. Yeah, just on the EMI label, so not Columbia for that one. And then we have the Air That I Breathe, which they actually corrected this time. They added the and they put 1974. It's also got We're Through and King Midas in reverse, and it ends with Just One Look, which to me is a fantastic 12-inch single. And then we have got the final 80s LP, Rarities, buy an actually as a not for sale copy. And this pretty much has all, as it says, they're rare songs from the 60s. I think it does have any 70s songs on it. Yeah, it does have a few 70s on it, but it is mainly the 60s stuff. Actually, it does start with a 80s song. But it has After the Fox in it. It has French version of Look Through a Window. There are Italian songs. Wings is on it too. Louisiana Man, which they actually performed live on TV with Bobby Gentry. But this version is just the Hollies on their own in the studio. But very good LP. I do recommend it if you are a Hollies fan. Now the final item in my Hollies video. It is a modern release. This is from 2017, I believe. It is Shake with the Hollies, their BBC session. There's the track list in there. And it is on the Rhythm and Blues label. Of course, they reissue a bunch of 60s artists on their own label, of course, and it's pretty much just the BBC recordings or like concert recordings, and it does have some interviews in this too, which is nice to hear. But there we go, guys, that now concludes my video on the Hollies. My previous video was on Badfinger, and the one before that was the Easy Beats. So if there's anyone else you'd like to see in this series, put them down in the comments, and if I have them, I will do that video for you. But yeah, please like, subscribe, and peace.